Welcome back to Sales Remastered. My name is Daniel, and I'm going to cover different techniques on how to sell over the phone. It's actually broken down in three different categories, right? So you have first the initiation of the actual sales conversation, and then you have the framing, which is basically mounting up for the pitch, and that's the third phase. So you have initiating the conversation, also known as prospecting, and then you have framing the call, which is mounting up and making sure you have the right pieces for your sales pitch, which you're going to conduct. And then the third portion, of course, is the actual sales pitch. I'm going to give you the three sales tips on how to effectively complete each. Okay, so number one is with regards to prospecting, especially how it applies today. Everything in a consumer's world, right? Your prospect's world, even our world. We have so many different media outlets, whether it's the TV, social media, internet, kids, spouse. There are just so many things that are fighting for our prospect's attention. You have to pay attention to the objections, and when in the sequence, whether it's phase 1, 2, or 3, that you get that certain objection, because it's all about how you're scripted, how your script works throughout, and it has to be fluid through the process so that you're able to combat those objections before they even happen, and so therefore you're able to remain control in the call. But in the very first portion, which is prospecting or starting the initial sales conversation, whether it's an inbound or outbound, the main objective is to communicate that you appreciate their time. Usually you're conferenced in, so they're saying, hey, I have Daniel, he's one of our best sales agents, he's going to help you from here. And that's a customer service agent saying that. And it's always helpful to understand that your first impression means everything. And so thank that customer service agent for transferring, so they have a sense that you're in the same organization or under the same roof. But when you take over the conversation, or when you make that initial intro, you want to set the precedent, set the tone. And so one of my favorite opening pitches, or one of my favorite ways to open a prospecting call, is saying, hey, my name is Daniel. The reason why you're talking to me is because I'm authorized to provide you with the information that you need. But before I begin, I want to make sure I'm helping you save some time. So I'm just going to ask you some real basic questions first. And if I can move forward with the call, I can go ahead and provide you some benefit and show you what I can do. But if I can't improve your situation, then I can help you save some time. And then move right into the pitch. So that's my opening line, at least in that context. The wording may be different depending on the prospect's engagement, their tone, the mood. Also listening to the background, trying to get an idea of the surrounding that they're in. And I'm coherent to that because it's important on the prospect hearing me. And if they can't hear me, then I can't have a conversation with them. And so again, the phase 1 in initiating the prospecting call is just number 1 is display your authority, confirm that you're the person that they need to talk to. Number 2 is acknowledge that their time is important by telling them you're going to help them save time. And then number 3, let them know that you can help them. So they have to feel this right away. When they initially call your company and it has nothing to do with you, they're always going to have a guard. They're going to be prepared to tell you no, or to give you every objection that a consumer feels is the right thing to do. And that's okay. We have to understand it's not their fault. They don't really mean anything bad by you. They have to protect themselves, and it's human nature to protect what they care about, which actually moves on to the next piece of the conversation, which is framing. So you need to find where their hot buttons are. Hot buttons are like the pain or the need or the desire, basically the outcome or the results that your prospect is looking for. And the only way you can actually find that and fine tune your pitch, which is the third phase, is that you really have to understand what makes your consumer tick. And so, of course, this is going to range. This is going to be different based on what product or service you sell. But the underlying message here is that you're trying to find out where their emotions are tied. And so what I've followed are 3 components that if you understand what these 3 components are, you'll be able to properly frame your call for the pitch, which is phase 3. And so those 3 things are love, fear, and self-preservation, also known as survival or maintenance. And so again, love is, of course, it could be anything from family to their house, their way of life, anything, hobbies. It just depends on how your product or your services apply. My services happen to be financial services, so I'm talking about emotional ties to cash flow, to extra money for expenditures, to afford outing or hobbies or recreational activities with their family. But I'm not saying it like that. I'm applying it to them. The second portion is fear. Fear applies to anything. I mean, you could be selling, baby products. You could be selling financial services. You could be selling a vehicle. But there's something that you can attach towards fear, whether it's fear of safety, fear of loss, fear of rejection. It applies somehow, some way. You just got to get creative and think about it. And then the final piece is self-preservation. Self-preservation, also referring to like survival or maintenance of their accustomed lifestyle. And so it's human nature to fear change, and you have to get creative and figure out how your product is not going to change their life. It's going to improve their life. Their service provider, their fees are too high, and it's obstructing their way of life, their maintenance. And so that's number 3, maintenance and survival. And so when you understand those 3 components, you'll have a better job on selling over the phone. But we have to understand what the common objections are and almost be prepared for it, because when you're prepared for it, then you have a plan in place to overcome it and kind of settle down or properly rebuttal that objection.